is fine day in California.
Huh?
Choose.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Friday Night Frenzy, the one show on the internet where everything is canon and the topics, they're more like a set of guidelines. So let's introduce our Frenzy crew today. First off, we have the man for whom rooftop Koreans is his favorite gender. We have Chris from Infinitail Chronicles.
That's right. How's it going?
And joining us is a very special guest. We are blessed by royalty today. So we have the Iron Age Queen herself, All Right Snow, aka Watcher of the Damned.
I love you. Yay.
And I love you.
I know you do. My baby. I love Chris.
How's that? Yes, we all love Chris. He makes great books. But how's everyone doing this week?
I'm just sitting there watching your little lines go up and down, man. So,
It's definitely been one of those. It's like the cold's starting to set in. I got snow here this week, so like that was a whoa thing. But overall, I gotta say, I think I'm good. So yeah, how about we just jump right into the headlines, shall we?
yes, let's do it.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Headline Hysteria. We're talking about all the topics that are important, just not important enough for a full episode. Let's just go for the jugular right off, and let's talk about. So, Snow, did you hear the announcement that Scott Pilgrim will not be getting a season 2?
I've heard the announcement that everyone is not getting a season 2, and the reason why is because if it's on Netflix, it's probably not good enough to watch. Now, I don't mean to be mean because I actually know people that are in the industry. They're making a living and they're doing great work, but so it hurts when you see them passed over for something that obviously that it's just that the audience isn't there. They keep going back to that same well over and over again. The shows that we're seeing hunger for, Yellowstone and the spinoffs Landman, which may actually have a pretty good reviewing, and anything that's in the indie sphere or that is on that outlier. I think that needs a little bit more attention from Netflix, but they keep going back to things that were popular 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I think people are burned out because when they see a retread or they see a re-imaging or remake of any kind of property now, they are immediately on alert that this might have been engineered so much that it no longer even resembles the properties that they love, the IPs that they love.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
It's not. We've gotten to the point where it's like it's not even worth getting excited. Like, oh, I wish they do a remake of this, and then someone will inevitably say, "But do you really want it in this climate?" And you're like, "Actually, yeah, good point." So the thing that I always say is, who knew making a animated series off of a IP that had a niche audience to begin with, and you market it a certain way. Then the first episode, you do a bait and switch where you kill off the main character and you try and gaslight people. Who knew that would be such a great idea?
Well, they do that with everything.
No, I agree with you. I think that what they did with this by putting that part, and I actually had read up on that one, so I got a little bit of knowledge on this one. That you go in and you say, here's your beloved character, and once again, this is actually supposedly the show that followed it wasn't that bad, but it really does feel like a bait and switch when you go in here and you go, here's Scott Pilgrim, and he's dead, and then all of a sudden,
the eponymous character.
Yeah, like if you look at the marketing pre-show, it's like, all right, we're going to do an animated version that's like a mixture of like the movies and like we're gonna have more time to delve into the manga and whatnot. It's actually kind of cool. And then you get this, like, you kill them off, and then you have all the apologists come in. It's just a huge turnoff.
Well, we got to get rid of white men in media, and that's how they do it. They take established properties, and then they remake or revise them. They did the same thing with How to Train Your Dragon, a completely unnecessary remake.
Yeah, and well, even if it's great, let's talk
Or
about,
Percy Jackson.
Yep.
yeah, even if you've got a great product, let's say you've got a great product and it's fresh and new, why tie it to the old IP? If you really want
Mhm.
something different, put it out there as its own entity, or put it out there as a spin-off. You can
Yeah.
actually say spin-off. Here's Scott Pilgrim's friend, blah blah blah, whatever, and he may show up as a cameo in the first one. Off I go, and then you let them see it. But you can't do this thing where it's based on this. It's not based on it. It's like Rings of Power isn't really about Tolkien at all. They could have just put something out there and called it Orklandia or something like that. They
Yeah.
could have called it- and
it-
people would have watched it. They would have watched it, but they
And the
wanted
thing
to
is-
use that. And it
People-
turned.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And the thing is, people are they're turned on to this kind of thing. Like they know what's going on. And then also I wanted to welcome, for the first time on the Frenzy, we have Vaughn Coleman.
How you
Hey,
guys doing? Sorry I'm late.
how's it going, Vaughn?
Good. We're just complaining about culture as men tend to do.
Only men?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, honey. You got to go. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm too old. I no longer count as a woman. I'm just.
All right.
I don't
I'm a
think-
raisin sitting in the
That's not how
corner.
it works.
So here's the theme charts comparison. We have Star Wars Outlaws right here. 340 players. Half-Life, released in 1998. 4,253 players right now.
More than 10 times. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, listen, you create something timeless. This is what I always say to people. You know, I was talking, for example, I was arguing, all right, maybe this is a non sequitur because I just joined the conversation.
It's okay.
So I apologize, but like when I'm talking about stuff that's timeless, people will be like, 90s X-Men outsold 80s, it's better. Like, that was Joe Sontag and I were arguing. I don't know if you see this. Joe Sontag and I have like these like kayfabe beefs where I started hashtag.
Oh, I love Joe.
I love Joe
Raise up the
too,
brother.
but I started hashtag Joe Sontag is wrong every time I disagree with him mildly on anything. And so like he'll be like, art is more important than writing, and I'll be like, hey Joe, what sells better in trades, 90s comics that you love or Dark Phoenix Saga? And then
Oh
he'll be
God,
like,
oh
I'm
God.
like, that's not the point, Vaughn. I'm like, no.
I have this argument with comic artists all the time.
It's artist cope.
Like artists almost okay. I'm just saying this right now. Artists almost killed comics in the 90s. You know who saved it? Writers.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Look at. So the like I
don't need
wouldn't really
editors.
consider. Well, I really wouldn't consider myself like a hardcore comics book fan when I was a kid because I was dyslexic. You know, I was barely literate. But I'll tell you, when James O'Barr released The Crow, which in my opinion looked like high school ballpoint pen doodle art, the story is what captivated me. And when they made a movie, I was first in line to get a ticket for it.
Well,
So-
the stories have to be first and foremost because otherwise it's just art. If somebody
Yeah.
says,
Get a
"This is
picture book.
art,"
I mean,
yeah.
okay. All kidding aside, this is how I put it. Okay, art draws you in, writing keeps you there. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Comics
By book
are
too.
are a unique enough medium where it is the combination that works because art without writing is just a series of pictures, and then writing
Correct.
without art is a novel. You're writing
Yeah.
a novel.
That's why, like, I'm scared with, we'll see with issue 2. But if people seem to, so far, the reviews have been good on my thing. But it's like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll know depending on the turnaround for issue 2 if people cared enough because I knew the art was great, right?
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, It was a matter of knowing if how people felt about my writing. For
Yeah, issues
Yeah.
2 and 3 are very important. I speak within spirits on that one because with issue 1, you get a lot of like, oh, I'll try you out. Oh, this looks cool. I'll give it a chance. But if you can at least maintain, like, you'll have drop off. You're gonna have drop off no matter. I mean, look at Eric's stuff. He's had drop off, but he's still doing really good. But even he has drop off. Is what I'm saying.
It's also a shame because issue 1 is your first impression, but it's never going to be your best issue. If issue 1 is your
Yeah.
best issue,
Yeah.
that is a crying shame. I can't think of a single comic book run. The closest I can think of where issue 1 is like with the best. It's not even the best, but it's one of the best. And this guy is an anomaly. Even Jim Shooter, I remember, was telling me the story of how he got the script. Was Frank Miller's first issue of Daredevil. Have you guys read that?
Dog. Yes.
So I was having dinner with Jim Shooter, and I remember him telling me the story that
Flex.
Yeah, it was a paid. To be fair, I paid. You know, it was like
Flex.
it was a great experience. But,
No,
you know,
I'm not mad at you. I'm just
yeah. So, and he was telling me because I'm getting I think I still have it. My Daredevil omnibus signed by him.
Oh wow.
You can see
Well,
it.
that's nice.
And I remember telling him, you know, I was asking him. I was like, about Frank Miller's Jet Run. He tells me the story that like the first time he was in the office, Denny O'Neil goes, "I need you to look at this. Look at this." Denny was the editor at the time. And Jim's like, "I'm kind of doing." He's like, No. Look at this. Read this. And he throws this script on Jim Shooter's desk. So he goes and he reads it. He's like, "This is amazing." He goes, "Do you like Frank wrote that?" He goes, "Frank wrote this?" He goes, he's like, and then Denny's like, he was pissed off. He's like, "How is he this good on his first try?" You know, like, and it's just, you'll never see. That's very rare. That kind of, like, God knows I was not that good on my first try. God knows. I actually have considered doing a stream. I've considered doing a stream going through my old drafts, but I'm afraid they're too bad.
I mean, hell, I should open up and show you guys like Project Axis. That was my first comic. Oh my God, I've come a long way, and that was just 4 years ago. Holy crap. 6 if you count the original version that only 25 copies were ever made. Thank God for that.
No, Frank Miller though, let's be honest, he is an anomaly because like his Sin City, I've got the first edition on that came out, and his Sin City was so influential in Watcher of the Damned, just the feel of the artwork, but also with it married to the premise and everything else. He is an anomaly to begin with. He's got the entire thing down to an art. And I think that we have a tendency to compare ourselves to these guys because, I mean, but that's not fair to do that to yourself. You go with the work you got, you look at what you've done, you say, hey, this was fantastic for the time I did it. It introduced me to my audience. It was what brought me to this place. And Nick, I'm saying this because I think I met you just right after you did Axis, actually when you were on DNQFE. And seeing how far you come, but still realizing the work you did was good.
Yeah, Torn Samurai. I was doing Torn Samurai issue 2. Yeah. Like I say, Torn Samurai didn't find its footing until issue 3. Like that was kind of when I issue 3 I switched to like the grayscale, and then I had like the red art for the special edition. Then made it standard with issue 4. Like it wasn't until issue 3 that I feel like I was finally kind of starting to get satisfied with how the book is. Like issue 1, I cringe every time I look at that book.
Do not cringe. Okay.
Not just the art, but the writing as well.
Now, I think that this is the majesty of having a series, though. And so when you have those series, you're able to put them out. Series is, I guess that's the way it is. And so you're able to put out. You're carrying the reader through with you. And yes, that first one we talk about Fall Off. But remember, we're also looking at relatively new IPs. Even Eric July, his IP is how old now? 3 years old. So we've got these young issues. I want you to go back and look at your greats and look at how they did. Whether we're talking about Superman or we're talking about Robert E. Howard, for instance, and how long it took him to actually get the Conan series off the ground. Dune with Frank Herbert, how long it took to really get it going. 3-5 years, that's nothing in the life of a writer. Usually your series will not really take off until after you finish the series. Yeah. And so the way to do it is you do your second edition. You go ahead and then you have this. That's what we're going to do with Watcher of the Damned. I've told everybody Watcher of the Damned is like the world's biggest beta read. Basically, I've got great editors. I've got everybody in on it. But I was like, hey, this is an experiment. I've never written a novel in my life. I'm making this series and we're going to get it out. And then we're going to do the second edition, which will be the big chunkies with the hardbacks. And then we're going to be doing a whole rollout with that. And the first people I ever talked to said, you get the series done. Get it done. Get it out there. Your readers come when the series is finished.
I mean, hell, I'm going to be doing that with Screecher Volume 1.
Yeah.
Like, I'm planning a definitive edition. Like, I'm going to do the last issue next year. And then, like, a year or 2 years after that, well, probably the next year, I'll have Screecher Volume 1 definitive edition, where it's like, I'm going to completely recolor issue 1, going to add pages to issues 1 and 2, and like going to redraw certain things. Definitive version, like all the things, all like the little things, That when you're producing it, you're like, all right, I'm gonna pick my battles. That's not how I want it, but I'm trying to maintain a good relationship with the artist, so I'm just gonna let this slide. All those little things. Like, I'm sure we're all comic book, we all know those kind of situations. All those like little things, I'm gonna make the book the way that I really want it to be. I mean, it's just a lot of minor things, like, the artist changed it to an Aikido studio, which should be Krav Maga, change that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that the other thing that we haven't really looked at from our perspective as indie writers, indie creators, we're able to do this. Do you realize that when you have other people that are out there that are working with publishers, just that giant grinder of having to go through all of the hoops to even get out the first edition, we are able to leapfrog forward miles ahead and say, okay, I'm doing this. We're able to make that decision, and that is one of the greatest gifts of being an indie author, is that we're able to do that on our own and make our own decisions about how we're going to release our properties. And so I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice when we've only been out there 3 years or 5 years and we're going, man, my first edition did really well, but second and third, I have people now that I'm just now starting to see those sales for book 3, book 4, book 5. I had my first big whales that came through, and they would absolutely devour the whole series. And I love the fact that when I have a series, people will leave the first review, and it's for the whole series, but it only shows up on book 1. So it's like, dude, so I don't have a way of right now of making it to where it shows up for the whole series. So it all shows up on book 1. But we have our whales come through that they devour it. They're our super fans. They love us so much, and they tell us what they love. And we have that at first. And then you have that later group that comes through, and they're coming through at their own pace. It may take them 2 years to finish, especially if you're like me and I'm writing novels. I have 8 novels in the bag right now, and the 9th one on the way. And so this series is a huge, long series. It's going to take my readers 10 years to get through it, some of them. And so you're looking at that long game of when you have this big series and everything, and it's just that patience game. But when you play it right, you end up with a gold mine, because that is where your readers come back to every year. Yeah. And I'll say it's really great. When you get to the point when you have fans, like I have people that when I do conventions, they come up and say, all right, what's new? And say, and like, they'll buy what's new. It's like, new variation of it. They buy it. Like I have a couple of people who do that at conventions, or I have people where it's every year. There's like, okay, I want the latest issue of Turned Samurai. I want the latest issue of Screecher. And then they buy that. Like, it's not a bunch of people. I'd say it's probably less than 10, maybe less than 5 even. But the fact that I even have those people is awesome. And they know who you are. They follow you. And I know the same thing's happening with Infinity Tales. Vaughn, just y'all's work, the fact that I know who you are. So here's what's your litmus test. I'm a 62-year-old woman over here. I'm not in the comic sphere. And quote, Nick knows I'm a little bit of an outlier because I'm very into culture and nerd culture and stuff like that. And I always have it. But the fact that I know who you are, I know you're out there. I've seen your work. I've seen you on the shows. We've had Infinity Tales on Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition, haven't we?
Oh, have we?
I thought we had.
I've been trying to get back on to Drawn and Quartered. But every time I ask, because I'm friends with Pixel Trader, he's not really involved with so much anymore from what he's told me.
I'll ask for you because we're setting up the shows for the next year. And,
And
if we haven't had you on there, but I thought we had done Infinity Tales at one point. Who else on your team? I've got you. I've got somebody from your team showed up somewhere. Well, we need to get you. I'm doing Screecher 4 in October, and you guys haven't done Screecher yet. I thought like that would be a home run for you guys to do Screecher. Yeah, we should do Screecher. Already got a group with it, but definitely when I know that who you guys are, and I'm not an interior nerd. I'm not somebody that's just right on top of that industry. That means you have reach. I know who you are. I knew who Vaughn was. I knew who Infinity Tales is. I know who Nick like the back of my hand. Not really. Well, Vaughn's the most famous person here. So I know. I mean, he's the only one here who literally got shot up by Eric July.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know. Listen, that was my whole thing. Is it was I wouldn't say I'm famous, by the way. You're
the most famous person here. Shut up.
Too late.
Well, listen, I that was again part of my fear. Oh shoot. Sorry, I'm getting a call.
Oh my God. All right.
It's
all
Eric.
right.
Sorry, hold on. Listen, that
Yeah,
was
alright.
the timing of that. I swear to God.
Do you need to take that, sir? Do you need to take that real quick?
No.
Oh.
Hang on. Let me call you back. Dude, I swear to God, it's always like I don't get a ton of phone calls.
Oh my God.
And then today specifically, when I have so much shit going on, everyone's like, "Today we need to call Vaughn Coleman." This
Oh my God.
day. There's 365 days a year, and the day where I'm like, "Hey man, I'm kind of busy." Oh no, today is the day. Today is the day.
Oh, okay. This
I have
happened to
literally
me-
a list. I have like 3 people I gotta call back. So here's the deal. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? My ADHD beat me. Okay. I remember. All right. I was saying, I was like, I had written this book and everything. And part of me is like, this is great. I'm getting so much publicity before I launch. And it's like, dude, what if everyone just reads the book and they're like, I mean, that was okay. And so far, that seems to not be the case. People seem to be really liking it. But I was like, oh God. So.
Yeah, like for me, when I did Screecher, a lot of the reviews were, it's a good start. It's not the best, but I want to see where it goes, which, fair.
Yeah.
And then as it went on, people were more harsher because I didn't have the, it's your first book thing. And, people were fair with their reviews. I'm not saying people were, unfair. But, with your first book, people tend to give you a little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
So it's the second and third book that really make you.
Oh God, so the pressure's still on.
Yeah, it's you've got it coming away. I think it's
sorry.
Yeah,
Let's
I-
transition into
Yeah.
our main topic. We're kind
Yes.
of going that way anyway with the conversation. So mental health in indie comics is a topic that I think does not get discussed enough.
There's a lot of great cases, especially lately.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, because like we see a lot of burnout. Like, how many times have we seen someone enter the scene, do a campaign, maybe fulfill it, and then they disappear from the scene? I've seen that probably like 3 or 4 times now.
I think you're looking at it. We see it more because we're on Twitter. Okay, let's say that first of all, that because of the way social media is set up, it's like having you're living in a goldfish bowl. And if you disappear from any one of those, well, for whatever reason, life happens, something takes place, and you disappear, people think, well, they're no longer there. They're no longer doing it. You could literally be creating a masterpiece in your home, drawing it out, writing it, doing everything. But if you're not on social media somewhere, people think you have disappeared. So it makes it a little harder to tell who's really not in the industry, who is. They almost have to put on a thing, quiet on the set, I'm working, and I won't be on Twitter for, whatever, I'm doing this work. Or whatever social that they use. And that was what used to happen. Authors would just sort of disappear. They would go and write something and they would show up 3 years later with a book. It's not that way anymore. And so that you have this constant pressure to be out there, to be on the scene. And I know I'm going through this and myself in a certain case. I'm having to edit because I'm not editing. My editor just sent me the line edit for Caballeros del Camino, which is the 8th book in the series. And so I'm going through doing the accept or reject, per line, just making sure that I see what's on the page and I'm taking care of it. And at the same time, I'm like, dude, I've got, this is my marketing. I don't have a marketing budget. I don't have any, I don't have any ads. I don't have anything like that. Everything Watcher the Dam has done has been through social media. It's just me going on a show and talking or doing something. So the pressures are like, hey, I need to get out there and I need to be here and I need to do these things. Tonight's different. It's like, I'm just with friends. It's not the same thing as being on a, one where you're being interviewed and it's like, you got to have all your lines ready and everything. But it's still there's that, you're a constant public person, even if you're just in your own house. And so I think that really does put that pressure on. It puts a lot of pressure on.
And it becomes a routine, and I have to snap away from it sometimes to write. And then I'm writing, and it snaps away from my, and it's tough. Like right now, like I'm struggling. I want to get back to writing, and I was like, I'm gonna have December to write, and so I'm really trying to plot my website down. I'll come on streams at nights, but just buy my shit. Let me write, and then next year,
buy Vaughn's comics so you can actually get a good night's sleep, everybody.
That's the good night's sleeps. Well, actually, they do happen with me, to be fair. But I feel like they're gonna be a thing of the past.
Yeah,
coming up. But listen, because I've had so many
special?
people. Do I got something special?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like you said that you're not going to be getting a good night's sleep. It's like you're making.
Oh!
Huh?
Pregnancy.
Wait, oh, okay, that's what you're.
Bomb
Okay,
chicka
it took
bow
a second.
bow.
I thought you were saying, do you have any special? My mind, of course, being so young and innocent.
Do
I
you
was
have a
like-
special lady?
I was thinking.
A
I
special
was.
lady
Yeah, I
that
know.
can
I.
help you
Of
relax?
course, I was thinking. In all my innocence. Shame on you. And perhaps
Yeah.
you were saying, "Oh, Vaughn, you must have some great creative endeavors that you're indulging in
my
that would
God.
deprive you of sleep." But little did I know I was dealing with such degeneracy. I'm messing with you.
Only
No,
the
no, no,
classiest. Only the
Actually,
classiest
I was
interactions
asking
here.
I was asking if you had a creative endeavor. It was Nick that was being naughty.
Oh,
Oh!
Don't you turn that around on
Alley-oop.
me, young lady. Young lady, don't you
See, I
turn
thought
that around
that
on
too.
me.
I thought that's what you were saying too. And then Nick gaslit me. All right, now we all have to turn on Nick.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
Nick.
no,
the
You
reverse
come into
of-
my
Look
house.
at him with the reverse of.
God
Yeah.
dang it. God
Yeah, I
dang
didn't
it.
remember.
You know what? And you probably get in viewers because of me. So you're welcome.
I mean, yes, probably.
I don't know. I'm not that big of a.
At least one person. We got at least one.
I hear
person,
Vaughn was
so.
streaming for you to find out where.
Oh, you got-
Man, he was the one who called me, and he's like, "Vaughn is streaming. I must find him." Yeah, I'm sorry, Michael. He called me. It was like, the timing, dude. I swear, like 3 different people were called me right in a row, and I was like about like. I don't know actually because I didn't answer them. So I guess I'll have to find out. Am I in trouble? I don't know.
No.
I'm kidding. I
No.
don't think I'm in trouble.
Tom, you're taking a mental health day.
I swear that happens to me all the freaking time. Like I could just be sitting on my computer, messaging people or whatever, and reaching out, and nobody responds. But the instant I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get up and be productive. I'm gonna clean my room.
Oh, then
take out the
immediately
trash.
everyone responds.
As,
Well, when
soo-
you're
as soon as I get up, my phone starts dinging, and I'm like, son of a biscuit.
Or when you have I'll block out time where I'm like, this is the time I'm messaging people and figuring things out in DMs, and then no one else can respond during that time. Then I get up. This is my writing time. Oh, now you can respond. Incredible.
At least 9
It's
rounds
right- you know
goes
what
up
this
to
reminds
it.
me of?
Respect.
Reminds you, you guys ever, if any of you guys are gamers, you ever play a game and it's a 60-hour goddamn game, you're maybe playing for 6 hours that day. The one time there's an important unskippable cutscene, someone comes in the room and needs your immediate attention.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding? I swear to God, it happens so often.
Vaughn's played Kingdom Hearts 2 before.
I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2 or any Kingdom. I played Final
If
Fantasy
you know,
7.
you know.
What, is there a long cutscene?
Oh god, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's this really tough boss, and it's right before a 5-minute long unskippable cutscene. So every time you get defeated by the boss, you have to watch that cutscene over again.
Who would? Oh my God.
Nomura!
Sadistic game designers.
Oh, but yeah. So burnout is a thing. One kind of sentiment that I kind of push back on a little bit is the constant hustle culture. Because that's the advice that a lot of new creators get. That's what I get. Is you always got to be hustling. You always got to be pushing the next thing. And yes, hustling, but you always got to make time to smell the roses. You got to make time for you. If you're running, give yourself a 5-minute sit on the grass and just kind of recharge, because if you're always go, eventually your legs are going to give out.
Well, I think you're right about that, because I think we also have a tendency to have more pressure on authors as personalities, and a lot of a lot of us are hearing that now, that you're not just selling the book, you're selling the author.
Yeah.
And that means that we have to put our face out there, we have to make people see us. But there becomes a point where the author and the creation get critique. And we feel like it's happening to us. And I've seen this over and over again. Just recently, I have people that are actually doing great on sales. Their numbers are there, but they get 1 or 2 bad reviews, or they get a couple of days or even a month where it's not as big of a sales. And let's be honest, people are struggling for money right now. They actually are.
Yeah.
They're having to choose between groceries and gas bills and lights.
Yeah.
And they buy our books. We don't. This is actually, they go out and they buy something we created. It's a big deal. it's a big deal to them too. Sometimes if they spent money on it, it wasn't what they wanted. They're mourning a loss of $10 or $15. It doesn't sound like much, but it means a lot to them. Well, also they spent that money on us, but you're going to see that downturn, especially when times are hard. And I see authors that will suddenly be like, I just, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. They wrote the first book, but this, and the second one's not selling as big. Well, maybe I shouldn't be finishing this series. Maybe if you're creating, you have to create. It's who you are. But if we lose sight of us as creators and we start becoming just the personality, just the person that's a marketing person, we will lose touch with the best part of ourselves that gave birth to this creation in the first place. And so we almost have to separate ourselves from, when I first started writing, I was like, maybe I should just write. I shouldn't get on socials at all. Just stay away from it because I don't want to, stop writing because I get a bad review or something happens. So far, I've been really blessed that people have been really, really great to me. I mean, as far as the reviews and everything else, but it's so easy to fall into that trap. And I think we have to encourage not just ourselves, but each other. When you see somebody going through that tough time and you notice it's okay to go over there and go, hey, come on, you love your story. You love your work. If you love that first, then the story's always going to be there for you. Even if the readers aren't, even if the numbers aren't, that story is there. When you put that last word on the last page and you put that art on it and you publish, that work is always going to be there. Nobody can erase it at that point. Nobody can get rid of it. It's going to be there forever. Now you can start to say, okay, am I as the author, the personality, the marketing, that can come. Get your work done. Get the writing done. And then, yes, the hustle is important. The interviews are important. The author as a personality is important, but nothing is as important as that story inside of you. And you can't take care of it if you don't feed the person that's creating. And that means
Vaughn, you wanted to say something, sir?
Oh, I was doing this, which means perfect. Oh, I guess I was doing it from this angle, which doesn't
okay.
anything.
You're holding up your hand.
So to me, because I'm looking right through the circle, but I realize on screen I don't know what the hell this looks like. So all right, anyway,
you're doing the Forbidden Fork.
I was basically saying I agree with you. I just didn't want to cut you off.
Okay.
Which led to me cutting you off.
Okay. In your defense, Vaughn, I cut her off for you. So
yeah.
I'm the
hero.
one who did.
Oh no, you're the hero of the story. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I mean, I'm in agreement with you, and that's the tough part where it's like because there are times where I want to be the quiet artist type, and it's like, but I have to promote. Like the reason my book did so well is because I promoted it well. That's why. How it's received going forward, that will depend on me going in my quiet phases. And I almost feel like balancing that being an internet personality or a promoter or someone on Twitter and writing is tough. And another thing, and this is something I struggle with, and I think everyone struggles with, is instant gratification. If I post a panel from my book or something that I think is cool, I get instant likes and I start a conversation. That's instant gratification. And maybe not a ton of likes or whatever, but it's still gratification. Now, if I spend weeks, this is frustrating. I'm writing this script. Oh, now I like it. Now the whole flow of emotions that is writing and creating.
Yeah.
Only to have it result in basically one post, right?
Yeah.
That's tougher, right? Like I'll give you an example. I spent too much on a Final Fantasy VII video essay that didn't get the amount of views I wanted. But like at the end of the day, I can go back to that artist personality of mine and say, divot, and I'll always have that thing that I'm proud of to call back to. That tweet that I made a while ago is not going to be something that I'll be like, no, that really changed. That was really something I'm going to take them. I'll be like, what? I tweeted that? Oh, okay. I think it's kind of realizing that when you're in those quiet periods, you're kind of doing your most focused, most real self, but you'll have something to carry with you every time you're back on those streams. Now I can say I've fulfilled my book. That period in between where you're like, I'm doing it, to being like, I have done it is just amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, and the thing that I always say is that moment when you first get your book back from the printers and you pick it up for the first time after like 6 months to a year or whatever of slaving on that book. You write the script, you work with the artist to get there. It's like the trials and tribulations. You see it develop, and it's finally in its finished form. Like, I've made about 7 comics at this point, but like that feeling of when I first hold the comic never gets old. Like, it is like the best feeling ever. Vaughn, have you experienced that kind of emotion?
Yeah, and I think I really need to spend more time soaking in the victories because I'm always like, okay, on to the next thing. And I guess that goes to the mental health thing where I read it and then I kind of was like, hold on, let's take a moment. I did it. I did it.
Yeah, I think it's really important to read your own comics.
Oh, I've read it, and I've read it many times, and I'm happy. And I think, you know what, I'm gonna make a point of doing that again today, of reading it again, because you know, why not? Because I'm always like, okay, on to the issue 2, on this, because you want to ultimately be a fan of your work as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I've always said is, yeah, you need to be the first fan of your book. But the thing that I always say is, write with passion, write well. Like, you need to be in love with the idea of your story. Like, if the idea of writing for your story does not fill you with, oh my god, I get to write my story, I get to do this. I mean, yes, it can get dull, it can get drudgery. But if the idea of the story does not like fill you with excitement, it's not worth doing. Like, I'm going to be blunt here. If you don't think it's like the best idea ever, if it doesn't excite you, don't do it. Because when you're passionate about something, it shows up in your work. You know, there's a difference between, oh, I'm just kind of going through the motions, I think it's okay, just get it done. I think like there's kind of like this X factor. When you're really excited, really passionate about a work, it kind of shows up and it kind of elevates the writing to a certain degree. And like the passion can be shown on the page.
It's absolutely, you want to you want to rip out your heart, squeeze it, and let it bleed onto the page. And you know, there are comics I've read that are like technically good, or movies I've seen that are technically well written, that just lack that heart.
Yeah, that's why we tend to give films like The Room a pass. Is it one of the worst movies ever? Yes,
but you can tell
you can feel the passion in the movie.
Yeah. Whereas there'll be like some corporate schlock where I'm like, no, this person knew what they were doing. Objectively, it's well written, but like,
yeah, it's like
I'll have fun with it, but I'll bye. All right, what?
Like I'm watching Multiverse of Madness. Like when I watch Multiverse of Madness,
it was
like
technically
it was technically made. It's because Sam Raimi did it. Like, does it have a lot of Sam Raimi? Yes, but it feels like he was a hired gun. Yeah, he was hired to do them. Like, yeah, Spider-Man. He was passionate about Spider-Man. It showed on my screen. Versus Multiverse of Madness, he was hired to do it. He did a job. He did the job he was paid for, and that's what you got on the screen, is someone who was hired to do a job.
Absolutely, and I think that's just a recurring sort of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think overall, yeah, that's absolutely something that people need to realize, is that I think with the MCU especially, it became too much of a machine, and that's something I try to avoid, especially because when you're honing artists, that brings up to another point. And I don't mean to keep changing subjects because I think we're on a good wavelength. But
I mean, this is a Friday Night Frenzy that's kind of in the DNA.
Okay, well, I'm first time here, and I'm already liking it. By the way, it's fun.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things that I feel like as artists, as creators, when we're now having IP, is finding a way to keep people true to your vision while letting people be free, and that balance is my artist and I work towards it. I think we found a good balance. You know, and I think we'd have more back and forths, and now we still have them, but it's more not. When I say back and forths, I don't mean arguments. I mean discussions.
Yeah.
And you know, now I'm kind of like especially with the variant covers, like for example with Irene, I was like, hey, I want this thing.
Oh, you hired Irene too?
No, Irene Strakowski. I'd be like, hey, this, and then she goes, oh, can I add drones? And I was like, I mean, I guess I don't see why he wouldn't have drones, I guess. And then that kind of synergy leads to now I'm writing a later issue and I'm like, man, if only there was something to defeat drones. And now I've reiterated them, you know. I'm like, these are cool. I want to use these in the script. And that kind of stuff tends to happen, you know.
That's one of my favorite things about collaborating with an artist. Especially when like you'd be like, okay, I hired you for an artist. You know what you're doing. So outside of giving direction, I'm going to let you do your thing. Like when the artist makes a suggestion and it works really well, I love it when they add certain things. Like, for example, my artist loves to add little details in the backgrounds of the comics. And, you know, I like to go through because it's Easter eggs and even I don't know about them. And it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of when sometimes my art I'll add things like there's I don't know if it's weird because now that I've had people that have read Phenomenova, well, there's a moment where someone records something on a cell phone, and then later on I'm like, so it was like a crowd reacting to something, and then my artist added someone recording in the background with a cell phone, and I was like, wait a minute, let me bring that footage back later in the clip. And this is something I hadn't thought of until he just drew it in a fit of passion, and I liked it. You know, and sometimes that happens. Or so, like I'll change a line of dialogue because I'm like, actually, I like what he drew here more. Or sometimes you don't necessarily have to even like it more. Sometimes it's like, does it look good? Do I need him to go back and, all right, let me change it. Like there's one page in issue 2 I might have to move around.
Yeah, one thing, one advice I give is as a writer, you can write your script, but when it gets to the artist's hands, you shouldn't be too married to the script because like sometimes an artist will be like, or it's like, okay, I see they have them doing this, but I think they'd rather have this position instead. And you don't have to take the artist's suggestion. Sometimes it is crap, but 9 times out of 10 the artist has a good idea.
Yeah, I'm learning that. Like I used to be a little overly nitpicky early on, which is why eventually I'm like, why are the pages taking this long? He goes, dude, because you keep like you be revived. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, you know what?
Like, man? I'm not saying everything the artist does is cool. Sometimes an artist does something, you need to pull it back.
Yeah, but sometimes there's give and take, but you have to understand most of the time they know what they're doing. But there are times where I'll be like, and a lot of the time they'll do something, and you either have to decide, okay, is this something I could fix by just changing a line of dialogue? If so, just let them do it.
Yeah.
Is it that big of a deal? And there are times that I've been like, yeah, because I've seen it in my head for a year, because I've had the script in my head for a year, and I'm like, okay, but is anyone else going to care? And I'll send it to other people, and they'll be like, yeah, but it's not conveying what I'm saying. They'll be like, I think it does. And they go,
yeah, I also have a bit of, personally, I have a fix it and post mentality. Like for example, I was talking about the Screecher Definitive Edition. All those little things that I kind of let pass. This is my opportunity, because I'm doing the Definitive Edition, to go back and fix them, you know? Because sometimes, like, you do have to pick your battles, oftentimes. It's important. The other thing is, it's really important if you're going to make them, like, redraw stuff, do it in the roughs stage.
Oh, definitely.
Especially once you get to inks, like, sure, the artist might do it, but they're not going to like it.
No, they're going to cost you money. I mean, I've worked with art, like, I've had this happen where an artist literally went through like a full stack, went through the roughs, the penciling, the inking, and then the coloring, and then gave it to me as a deliverable. And I'm like, oh, that's nice, but it needs some changes. And they're like, yeah, that'll be an additional insert amount of money here. And it's like, no, that's not how we work here. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Were you working with him on all the stages, or did he just give you the finished stuff?
Well, yeah, like I just said, he gave me the finished stuff, went through the whole thing, gave me the finished stuff, and then like through it. Like, this is why I always ask for like test pages with artists. It costs money and it wastes time, but at the end of the day,
it's worth it. It is so
100% worth it. Yeah, at the end of the day, the amount of money that you wasted, you can just put it in like a future art book or something, you know, whatever. But like, yeah, I've been astounded by the way that some artists work, where it's like, you do realize this is a collaborative effort, right? Like it's not.
Yeah. So, the way that my artists work is we go in stages. Like, my artist does thumbnails, has pencils, and inks, and then each stage, like, they send the thumbnails. Like, the thumbnails are mostly like blocking. Like,
yeah, thumbnails are honestly the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. Because like it's very easy to change a thumbnail. Like you ask them to be like, okay, can you like do this instead? It's like, yeah, that's fine because it's like stick figures or something.
Yeah.
But it's important to get some stuff out in like the thumbnail stage. Pencils, you can kind of get away with it, but I really wouldn't advise it. But by the time you get to inks, you should have all the things should be done. And
Yeah.
my artists, they usually send me like each page, like, all right, here's page 13 pencils or whatever. So if there's something a mistake, I can get it done there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if there is a mistake, it's my fault for not pointing it out earlier.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of like me with my cover artist, because I wanted a cover artist because I just do sketching. I'm not an artist. I'm not like you guys, and I do illustrations, and I've gotten okay. But as many of you know, I'm actually losing my eyesight because I have a degenerative eye condition. So I started off making my sketches. Yeah, I've got keratoconus and macular degeneration, which I didn't realize I had. Well, it reversed. There actually was, and believe it or not, my ophthalmologist looked at it and said, it's gone. And the reason why is because I started taking, first of all, prayer, because I believe in Jesus Christ. Secondly, AREDS, which is actually a medication, which is a supplement which can be used. And so I have it under control, but there's still, my eyesight is not the same as it was. And there's a lot of distortions in field. So knowing that I was having this going on, and I was making my character sketches, and my character sketches ended up in the book because my editor at the time was like, oh, put it in there. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we do that. And so it's sort of like an illustrated sci-fi Western. Well, so I wanted a cover artist, though, that I knew would be able to keep doing this series and might also help me finish out. So went to my cover artist, Laura Morris, who is more like a murals. And we were talking about thumbnails. And of course, you're talking about thumbnails from the comic artist perspective. But thumbnails from a book perspective, when we're talking about what shows up on a tiny screen, it's everything. Absolutely everything. It has so much changed what happens on covers with books. Because you have to be able to see it on a small screen, and it has to translate properly. Is it visible? Can you tell what it is? Can you read the title? And is it still representative to a certain extent of what an author or a reader would want to see? So I went with her because she has this big mural type, downtown art type style. And so we did that, and her colors are fantastic. But she almost has like a vision. She'll come in and she'll say, I see this thing, and she'll, even without reading the book yet, or I'll give a general overview of what's happening. And she's read the entire series, but so with the newer book, she'll just come in and she'll go, "This is what I'm seeing," and of course we'll talk a little bit of it. And our big thing is on the cover. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, you're kind of rambling a little bit.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. But so the thing about it is that when you're talking about that collaborative effort, that the author has that certain vision in their head of what they want, but from a novelist perspective, getting the cover done, it's from my experience, having my artist come in and sort of, she just gives me what she has, and she says, I see this thing. Well, that actually did end up putting a certain type of weapon in the book because she saw this and she interpreted it. And I was like, that is so cool. That's one of the coolest things I've seen. And it actually was, the ray gun ended up looking like a Black & Decker drill, like somebody had actually stealthed it in, but it had cool rays coming out. I'm like, I want that drill.
Nice.
And so we ended up with an entire set of weapons being put in that were actually that actually are also working tools, which is nice.
Yeah.
You can finish your project with it. And so when you let your artist have that moment to be more creative in their process, you can sometimes end up with some real gems. And it's just being able to be free.
Yeah. Well, from like I was a quasi art director when I worked for the Ubisoft company crap there back in the gaming industry days, and it's frustrating because like I used to be an artist. In fact,
wait. Vaughn doesn't know this PC lore. So Vaughn, did you know that all this Assassin's Creed Shadow stuff? This guy did the first draft back in like whatever.
Well, I did a draft of a Assassin's Creed game set in the Sengoku Jidai, which is the Warring States period of Japan. We were contracted out by Ubisoft. We ended up making it was for a mobile game, and they used it like it's part of their, like it had to go through a very strict vetting process because when you're dealing with Assassin's Creed, you've got an established timeline, and any anachronistic stuff or contradictory things, like, yeah, that's a huge no-no. But when what I was trying to say though about like, you know, when you're doing art, like
what is
it's-
Edward Kenway doing in Europe in 1910?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, what I was trying to say was like I used to be an artist. I actually used to draw and stuff. Like that was my niche. That was the thing I did. But when thanks, Parrothead. But when I like I ended up getting something called basically from an autoimmune disease. I got something called peripheral nerve damage, and I lost use of my hands pretty much. So both my hands look like G.I. Joe Kung Fu
Oh
action.
man,
wear.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, thanks. It is what it is. But like, that's why I hired artists, because I can do that stuff, or at least it's a very frustrating point when you have an established product. And when I worked on the Assassin's Creed stuff, there was a lot of this where you have an established IP, and artists, some of them are great, some of them not so great. But just because you're good at art doesn't make you a great artist. And there's this other concept that you're a commercial artist, not a fine artist, which means you are selling your art to somebody as a service or a product. And when we worked for Ubisoft, we would get stuff back, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't exist. Yeah, you know, Robin Hood or Willikin of the Weald or whatever the hell we called them did not have a Chinese guandao like sword or staff or whatever. You know, it's like that's not how this works. So we had to have a lot of like, here's an art packet, and there was a language barrier on top of that where it was I had to make everything visual, and I had a interpreter basically. She would run through a spreadsheet that I made in Excel and just change all the names and whatever, and then do all of the correspondence. And we would get a lot of stuff back that was just like, I understand it's an artist and it's their vision and everything, but they're not being paid to have fun. They're not being paid to be creative. I'm sorry, but commercial art is not creative art. And
Vaughn, have you had to deal with anything similar to that when creating your stuff,
In terms of like commercial art, or in terms of
or like working with artists where they go rogue, or
yeah,
Because
I don't
I
think
will say, because I had experience
no
luckily
names, no
prior
names.
to Phenomenova,
Mhm.
you know, where I kind of learned that I'm trying to be, you know, vague and respectful.
yeah.
Because I really have nothing but respect for everyone I've worked with thus far.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
You know, where you realize that just because someone's a great artist, because I don't hire someone whose work I like, there's a few things. One, drawing sequentials is a totally different beast from drawing a
Yeah.
beautiful cover.
Mhm.
There are artists that can draw covers that cannot.
don't
draw
tell cover
sequentials.
artists that, they'll get mad.
They can cope, man.
Oh, they do. They cope and seethe.
Well, listen, you know, the truth of the matter is that comic artists are a whole different level of great. And
Mhm.
another thing that's true, right, is that you know, when you're looking at another thing is also, just because a great artist is good doesn't mean they're right for you. And what I mean by that is, sure, they can make deadlines, sure they can do this, dude. If they don't know how to, if they're just not communicating properly, that's the thing.
Mhm.
Like, I've dealt with language barriers too, and sometimes it was too thick, where I have a policy where, generally speaking, there could be exceptions, but generally I don't hire people that aren't willing to have a discussion on the phone. I just generally don't do it, because a couple of reasons. One, I'm trusting people with my baby. Two, and I, you know, there are people, like, for example, I've talked in DMs with nicest guy ever, but come to think of it, I actually realized that this trading card artist who won my fan art contest, technically he's like the one guy I actually haven't talked to on the phone with. But most people, down to my letterer, my editor, you name it, I talked to on the phone. And I think one thing, for example, is he was reading my script, he was reading my notes, and he just was getting things that were right, but just a little off. Or another thing is, if an artist is just not understanding the intent behind when you write something, like there's someone's driving out into the desert, for example, and I say shot from behind, and if you're drawing a shot from the front of something, I'm like, Yeah, I mean, technically, what's happening is there, but if you're not understanding the intent behind the story and you're just drawing what is happening without conveying the proper emotion, without making you feel it, that can be difficult, you know? And
Yeah.
one thing I like about my artist, you go and look through my book, you know, you can say what you want, but my characters
Hey,
have
Nix.
very expressive faces. And you could always generally tell what they're feeling. And sometimes it'd be like, I just say, this person feels this way. And then he draws it. And I'm like, yeah. Sometimes it's even more expressive. Or sometimes I'll be like, hey, I know I said this person is angry. You can make him a little less angry here. You know, like stuff like that. I think as long as they understand your intent is important. And as long as they understand that they're not just drawing a pinup book, they are drawing a story. And again, getting back, circling to the 90s. Sorry if I know I'm long-winded. But like a lot of the time they do these double page spreads that are gorgeous, but I'm like, why is this a double page spread?
Yeah.
These characters,
Because
like
the artist wanted
like,
that way.
let me give an example. Like, I love Witchblade, one of the most beautiful comics I've ever written. I've ever
Are
read.
you about to say bad things about Mike Turner? That's not allowed.
No, listen. Michael Turner is one of the greatest artists ever. One of the greatest artists ever.
Correct.
Probably one of my favorites. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if I could, any artist who had passed away. In fact, this would be a fun question. If you could have any artist who passed away do stuff for you, who would you be? I would say Mike
Turner or George Perez for me.
Or George Perez, right? Probably I would put John Romita Sr. on there as well. To do a cover for me. But I'm looking at it, like, even I'm going through this art. There are so many double page spreads where I'm like, I love it. It's gorgeous, but I'm like, was that really 2 whole pages of story? Like,
I think a lot of fans of 90s comics, and as much as I hate to say it, I think this is kind of a problem with a lot of indie comics right now. Is a lot of indie comics seem to be obsessed with like the 90s era of comics, and I think it's kind of to the detriment of a lot of indie comics. Like, for example, Screecher is more late 90s, early 2000s inspired. But a lot of indie comics, I'm not going to name names, I'm not here to do that, but a lot of them are like, oh, I want the gorgeous 90s pinup art or whatever, and it's just like...
Dude, you want to know how crazy it is in the indie scene? I just said, hey, they don't draw enough panels per page nowadays. And
God!
And people got mad. And I was like, objectively, look at it objectively. And show me how much happened in your average issue of X-Men in the 80s. And compare it to how much happened in like later issues. Objectively, more used to happen per issue. Same goes with the 60s. I'm sorry. Does that mean that it's better necessarily? No. I love a lot of those. Like,
I mean, I do wish we would go back to kind of like a late 70s. Like, I really want to do a late 70s X-Men style issue. Because if you go back and look at like the Phoenix Saga era,
that was 80,
like late 70s, 80s.
No, it was just 80. I'm fucking with you, but I get your point. No, you're talking about John Byrne. I'm literally just fucking with you at this point.
Okay, it's fine. It's kind of an Olympic sport around here, so it's fine.
I will say, I think that a lot of times
I'm trying to make a point here, Art. No, I'm trying to make a point here, one at a time.
Oh God.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep things, you know.
No, it's my. I went on 5 different tangents at once.
Yeah.
It's okay. So if you look at like the art from that era, what's fascinating to me is the inking is doing all the work because it's all flats. It's all flat colors because they hadn't invented computer coloring yet, and there is some shading, very little of it. But the inking was doing all the detail work, and that's something that you don't see in modern comics, and I found that fascinating.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, go and look at like that era and try it and like really study it.
I haven't looked at like the raw pencils versus inks, I guess. I never really understood it because, you know, I don't know. I hadn't really paid that much attention. But yeah, I mean, like, and again, Michael Turner, one of the greatest, you know, God bless him. And apparently he was like the nicest guy ever, too. I didn't know this, but it was actually Dan Frega's best man at his wedding was Michael Turner. He told me, he was like, they were like super tight. Matt Hawkins said that he named his I think he was the godfather to Matt Hawkins' son. Like, that's the kind of guy Michael Turner was. I've never heard anyone say other than he was like the nicest guy ever. But I like for example, I was pointing out like David Mazzucchelli. I don't think there's a lot of artists that draw like him nowadays. And again, this is my first comic was Batman Hush. I love Batman Hush, but I think
gorgeous.
I think that it's okay to have a more variety of styles out there. And I don't know.
First was New Teen Titans.
That's a good one. I have to finish that run. I've read the first 4 volumes. I've read the first 28 issues, but I haven't finished that run.
Okay. Have you read the Chuck Dixon, Scott McDaniel run of Nightwing?
No, I've heard it's the best work.
Oh my god. Oh my god, you need to read it.
I've heard it's his best work.
And the thing is, especially the early, like Scott McDaniel kind of draws with like an image style almost. It's really crazy.
I edited a book that Scott penciled, and actually,
I really want Scott to do. Like, I want to work with Scott. His actually rates are pretty reasonable. If you go on his website, they're surprisingly reasonable. But all right, Snow, I'm really sorry. What did you want to say?
Oh, I was just talking about the 2-page spreads. I think that a lot of what we do when we see those 2-page spreads, people they're having nostalgia for a comic that they liked. I was just looking at Berserk Mura. He had some great 2-page spreads. It has nothing to do with color. It's just all ink and black and white and everything else. But when we go back to the comics that we loved and we say, oh, this is what I wanted. I saw this 2-page spread. It embodies in a comic artist's mind the biggest moment that they had in that book, usually, especially from that time period. And I think that that's what we're seeing is they go back to that because, you get a chance to have this big, you get a chance to point at it and say, here's the apex of this moment. Here's this, what I want you to see is the most important thing in this series of drawings. But it is harder to fit in the action when you have all of those 2-page spreads, when everything's about, there's a big, a big splash or whatever. And so when you get back to the story, it's important to go ahead and cut back into that. And I think your idea about getting back to a more compact story with more density to it. That's because we're looking at the same thing came up the other day that we're now looking at $5 for an issue for comics. Is it for Marvel at DC? And for a lot of people, you better have a lot of story packed in there, because that's a lot of money for what you're spending that money on. And if all you got is a bunch of pretty art in there, but you really don't advance the story, you're losing a lot of. Go back to where you look at the mangas, and they're in most of them black and white. They're in black and white for a reason, because they wanted to put all that story in there.
Yeah,
and we do make a point. That's. Oh, sorry, didn't mean.
No, go right ahead.
You kind of just said what I was saying in a much more articulate manner. Mine's kind of a word salad. Is people are paying for a story, and people are especially paying more for a story.
It's why the trade paperbacks are kind of the bread and butter of the industry at the moment, because for one, people want complete stories. Like I've had people say, "I like Screecher, but I'm waiting for the trade." For example, Ultimate Spider-Man. I love that book. I waited for the trade. I bought Volume 1. I loved it, and now I'm waiting for Volume 2. I'm like, even though I officially love the new Ultimate Spider-Man, I'm still just doing the trade, even though I officially love the book.
Totally. You want to, sometimes you don't want to take it issue by issue. And I get it. I totally get it. We're seeing how things go. Let's see. I'm doing you want to make sure that you have a book, if you're doing single issues, and this is what I'm struggling with, that every single issue feels like a buy. Otherwise it's like, why wait? Like if I have to do, you want to be excited with every new issue, but it is complicated because most of what I've read in trades. Trades are convenient, but a net negative for the industry. That's because I first got in through trades.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but you're welcome to express your opinion.
I get where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from in the sense that think about it like in terms of momentum, right? Imagine if I don't know. I'd have to think about, because I kind of get what he's saying. Like
Well,
a
the
lot
problem
of
is people don't
people.
buy month to month. People don't want to buy month to month comics.
Well, they
anymore.
used to though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which means they screwed something up. It doesn't. People don't just. It doesn't just. It's not like everyone just decides I like a month to month. Actually, I don't anymore. Something had to have been messed
here's what happened.
up for
Here's
things
what
to
happened.
go that way.
Comics are a disposable medium. Okay, they started out as a disposable medium, but somewhere along the lines, like the 80s or the 90s, they became a more permanent medium. Comic books are something you read and then you threw away. They were
That's a
meant
good
like they
point.
were printed on newsprint, and
Right.
they're cheaper. And like we're seeing comics be like $5. Nobody wants to go back to newsprint. Nobody wants to go back to.
That's a
all
good
right,
point.
let's just do flats. Nobody wants to produce comic books for cheaper, okay? Because people want like the high quality paper, and I'm the same way. I've had people literally tell me, Nick, maybe you should do on cheaper paper to have more. And I said, no, I want the quality paper.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was looking at it. I was like, maybe I should make a cheaper version. And maybe I'm not saying I never will. But I remember I was like looking at, you know what happened is even earlier today, I was with some family and they go, I haven't read your book, but they look beautiful. And I'm thinking, well, I kind of like those compliments. Like I'm feeling the paper and I'm like, do I want to downgrade? No. Do I want more customers? Yes. If it leads to more customers, I will keep the premium versions here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's two different markets though. Like we're discussing two very different business markets. Like look at Alterna Comics. They're all about the cheapo newsprint and stuff, and they're running gangbusters.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Samedi knows what he's doing. But here's the thing.
Well, is it two
like-
different markets? Because I buy both kinds. Of
It's
the
like
people who buy
the
for your
markets have
Kickstarter-
crossover, but
Like,
Can-
like if
can I
you're doing a
finish?
Kickstarter. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So a crowdfunded book is your premium experience. You know, it's your
Yeah.
white glove. It's your high quality of paper, all that stuff. It's the beautiful book. But when you're going mass reproduction, if you're going retail edition or whatever, don't provide that same quality for two reasons. One, you're disincentivizing people to back your book because they can get the same quality. They can just wait. And sadly, that cannibalizes on your
I will be
crowdfunding.
right back. You guys keep talking.
All right. And two, it is like there's a reason why manga is eating the Western markets for lunch. They are doing the cheapo newsprint. They are doing just black and white. They are doing the less image quality. So if you want that premium edition or whatever, you crowdfund it. But that's kind of like the collector. Like that's your white glove. Like I got something that nobody else will get, which will appreciate in value. But you should make a cheaper version to reproduce if you are post crowdfunding, at least in my experience. Sorry, that was a rant.
No, I agree.
Crowdfunding- No, I
But, you know,
just the more expensive version for crowdfunding or cheaper.
I would say the more expensive version. Because you're enticing people to get the one of a kind, hard to reproduce.
Yeah.
They're basically what you're doing with that premium edition is you're not actually backing the book, you're backing the creator. They are saying we will give you more money so that we can incentivize you to make the next book or to make whatever
That is a
comes
good
after
point.
that.
All right, so because I keep going, I want to make a digital version of issue 1, and I do.
Mhm.
I technically have it. It's called a PDF, but it's
Yep.
like I don't think I'll figure out what to do digitally later. I keep putting the
Yeah,
cartridge
I
away.
have done digital myself.
How do you
to
do
me,
it?
it's, I do it a couple ways. So I'm on Amazon, and then I'm also on Global Comics.
Global Comics is what I'm launching on later.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
they're great. I also do Amazon just because like that's like the big thing. Like everyone has a Kindle.
Yeah.
It's like basically the equivalent is you put your book in Barnes and Noble and in the small bookstore, like
Mhm.
kind of thing.
And if you
Well,
want
and-
something eventually, you'll get it. Like, for example, I'm Marvel Unlimited. And if I want it enough, you know what I'll do? I'll go and I'll buy the trades. Like, I've been reading Claremont's run. And you know what happens every time I hit a major event? I already have access to all the issues. I know what all the issues are when I reach Inferno. I buy the Inferno trade because I've gotten so much goodwill that I buy the trades. And then I go and when I like an issue that I read digitally so much, I go to my local comic shop or I go to a con. I buy the issue physically. So eventually all this stuff will come back around and help us.
Yeah.
So, people don't want to be you don't want to be too stingy either. I think for example, it always frustrated me with the comic scene where it's like you have to wait for a campaign. It's limited. Up, you want it too late, fucker. You can't buy it. Oh, you have 30 days to buy it.
I don't.
It's like I remember. What reminds me of? Do you guys remember the Supreme craze? I don't know if it's still going. I had friends that were like hype beasts, and they'd be like, "Dude, I gotta get the new shirt. I gotta get the new shirt."
Homo.
And then I'd be like, I don't understand. It just has a Supreme logo. What? It's like, dude, no, you don't understand. I'm like,
all right.
I don't understand.
One problem that I've run into is people ask me outside the campaign, where can I buy your books? And then I had the digital, but I didn't have a physical option for people. So, and the thing is, like, I would say, yeah, you can get it. You can purchase it from me directly, and people just kind of just like trail off from there. It's like you mentioned, like, just send me on PayPal. I'll send it to you. No, they want to go to a website. Well, I fixed that problem, and I'm going to share. And I'm going to go into chill mode here. Sorry.
Ooh, what's this? I've never heard of this.
So this is a site called Indie Planet. It's run through Kablam Printing, and this is the latest stuff. You notice they have something next to it here.
Click it. Mm-hmm. So this isn't your website; it's someone else's.
No, this is someone else's website. So this is Indie Planet, where you can order a print-on-demand physical copy of the comic, as well as digital, and it's $5 plus like some fees or whatever. And they just put this up recently. I actually got an alert to it. So here's the website. So if you want a physical copy of Screecher, this is the way. This is how I recommend you do it. And they print it and then they ship it off to people. So it's really a hands-off thing. It's like a Redbubble kind of thing.
Yeah, or Amazon. It's completely passive income.
Yeah, so this is my solution to the people who want to buy the book physically but didn't want to buy it from me directly. So that problem has been solved. And I'm sorry, I was kind of wanting to promo this anyway. You were giving me the perfect segue, Vaughn. So that's why I was like, okay.
No, it's good. You know what makes me angry is I've been talking about the website and mine is like just on the verge of launching, but I'm trying to figure out shipping costs. So if any how that stuff works, help me out.
Have you talked to RJ from Critical Blast?
He is my fulfillment guy.
He is my fulfillment guy too.
Wait. I can't. Damn, I didn't know that. I would have asked him about it. I was just there.
Yeah, RJ, okay. I love RJ. He's like an incredibly smart person. I said this to his face. RJ is the pick salesman to the in the Gold Rush. He is the shovel salesman.
That's what I think he literally made that exact thing. He goes, "I'm the pick guy." He goes, "When everyone else, I'm the one selling the picks during the Gold Rush," which I think is smart.
And you know what? I totally respect it. The guy's hustle game is great. I can't sing his praises enough. But yeah, like RJ's gonna be doing, like he's got all my business. I love the dude. Mm-hmm. Have you done like his publishing initiative yet?
Not yet.
Oh, I actually did one with him recently. Let me show you. So Snow, you remember when I was on Drawn and Quarter for Dark Samurai?
Yes.
This art might actually be familiar to you.
Oh, look at that. Is that Alan?
I can't remember exactly who. I did get permission from the artist to use this. I
think that I can't see it up close, but I believe that's Alan. That's either Alan or Eric. Probably.
There's a signature.
Should be look in the corner. It should be Alan Alonso. If it's not, it's Eric Hawkins, maybe.
Eric Hawkins. It's Eric Hawkins.
Is it Eric Hawkins? Okay, all right. I was close. I couldn't even see it. I can tell you from the.
So yeah, Vaughn, this is early Turn Samurai. It's like the first issue. So but yeah. I did this with RJ, and these are the samples he sent me. It came out really good. I gotta say. Yeah. So if you were looking to do a trade with RJ, is a good guy.
Yeah.
Yes, Coral. I did grab a cool thing from my shelf. like it's also just really nice to have your own books on your shelf. It's kind of like a weird feeling, you know, when you look. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, here's one of my books. You know.
Oh, I
That's
love the
awesome.
fact that they've got the
I'll have to
the
ask you about
print on
that.
yeah, the print on demand and digital download. That's nice because for comics, it's a whole nother animal than it is with Amazon. I can go up and I can put. I mean, I have to format for my illustrations, but it's so much easier on Amazon. And then you go through the process with. I didn't realize comic artists couldn't go up there and just sell a comic on Amazon like that and have it digitally or have.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have to
printed.
go through this whole process of like converting it to KDP.
Yes, which is
and
just
like get panels.
What?
What? Sorry.
you just turned
Sorry,
into a robot.
Sorry, the entire stream just had to reboot for a second.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, okay.
I should
What happened?
we should gaslight him into saying he's still roboting for the rest of the stream.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I'm kidding. You're good.
Omae wa moshindaru. No,
Nani?
Oh,
oh yeah. In digital, make sure your book passes the black and white test. Never put red text on a dark background. And make sure, because a lot of people who are going to read your book might be reading on an El Cheapo Kindle or a one of those Amazon, or what is it, Amazon Kindle and the Nook or whatever, and it doesn't translate well in color. So I've actually had a book, my digital PDF went through on Amazon, and I get this message, hey, I can't read your book. There's these big black boxes. What's going on? And I realized I realized the big black boxes were narration boxes with text in it, but when you reduced all the color, it turned dark gray onto dark gray. So I had to basically redo the entire book in grayscale.
So I think what they're trying to say, because I couldn't really get, is you have a color book, and these keyboard tablets converted to black and white, and you got to make sure it'll work if it's converted like that.
Yes, yeah. So when you're doing colors, choose colors that translate well to grayscale.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice in my opinion.
I didn't even know
that's
this until
interesting. I
somebody.
didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
I mean, I went in and yeah, I had somebody from a customer say, I can't read your book. So I had to go through and literally rebuild an entire PDF in grayscale.
Oh,
Went
wow.
to your shop, did it all. And it was like, wow, I wonder how many other times like I've sent stuff out there that people can't read.
More
Yeah,
than
but-
you probably know.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't usually contact the author, they'll be like, "Oh, well, I can't read it, and I don't know." And I think
Yep.
that's
Churn.
a big, yeah,
Mhm.
it's a big risk. We don't know when Kindle is translating properly on that end for us. And I've actually, for me, Kindle, I'm probably going to pull. I mean, I have stuff on Kindle, but KDP itself, because there's a whole nother setup with KDP per pages and everything like that. I moved a bunch. I mean, hundreds of copies on KDP, and it hasn't translated at all into even like one page. There's hundreds of copies out there, but nothing's come out on the pages, and I'm like, something's missing. There's not either they're not a. But I know my Kindle readers are able to read it because they've been able to. So there's a whole world out there when you're going through something as large as Amazon, where there's such a disconnect between the author or the creator and the end result, because you've got this giant corporation between you and your readers. And so if there's something wrong, I have no way of knowing why it is that.
And conversely,
Yeah.
on Global Comics, if I have the problem, I can literally just DM the
Global
the
Comics.
I've
Yeah.
had him on the stream a couple of times. I could just message him and be like, "Hey, I'm having this issue," and he'll respond and help me. Like that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Also,
It is good.
hey Keely,
Hey.
we are talking about. We're basically bitching about how much it sucks to be an indie comic creator.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, yeah, because I was the last couple of days I was stressing about a bunch of different things. It's like, oh my god, I'm not gonna have a digital available yet. And it's like, you know what? I'll have it digital available later. For now, I have all these physical books. Let me sell those. I have a PDF. I do want to figure out what to do with the digital. I'll do it later. For now, I'm gonna launch my website. I'm gonna acknowledge that I won't have everything I want on my website.
And that's fine. That's fine, man.
It's
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Well, it's,
realizing that.
it's iterative. It'll grow.
That's what I realized. I was like, I want all this, and this right away. And I'm like, no, I'll just let it boil in over time. I have people that are excited to buy the book. Let's just have the book and a coming soon for some other stuff. Digital version.
It's better to do it right than to do it wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm realizing. But you have to do it. Key thing is to do it. So yeah, I gotta go for a second. I'll be right back.
But yeah, one thing I do find funny is it's kind of changed a little bit in like the last year or so. But remember about like a year or so, a lot of indie creators were like deathly afraid of digital. I almost found that a bit comical.
I think a lot of and what I don't think they
That's bull
understand
crap.
is-
It was such bull crap.
Well, it's a phobia, but it's one of those unreal. What is it? The irrational ones, because it's like, dude, I know people in the indie sphere that'll scan in pages of your physical book and put it up as a PDF. So
Yeah. Well,
you're
two
not
things.
gonna win.
Well, two things. One, you need to be big enough for
Mhm,
people to want to pirate.
exactly.
And if you're at that level, you don't worry about piracy. Two, just because it's digital, like you said, doesn't mean they can't scan it in.
Yep.
So it's like,
Yep.
See, I do digital, even though I don't really view it as like a profit generator or anything, but I view it as more of an obligation because I know there's like, even if it's just 3 people who only do the digital, it doesn't really take that much effort to get the digital going, first and foremost. But if there's only 3 people who read it, that's 3 people like fans that didn't have before.
Well, that and like if we go with the what do they call it? The Australian edition. Right now, if you are an American small business, you have the full weight of the world government working against you in your business. It has gotten to the point now where even on Amazon. So I'm on Amazon. I have a book, Amazon.au. Okay, it's an $8 book. Okay, $8. That's really not that much. Well, an Australian friend tried to buy the book. It came to 32 Australian dollars.
You're kidding me.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
And I was like, I can't in good conscience ask you to buy that at that price. That's a ripoff. And he went through why, and it's because, like I said, the world's governments are working against American small businesses. There are tariffs or import fees or duty taxes, VATs, all that crap that affects small American businesses, but not large American businesses. And there is one country in this world, China, that is immune to all of those.
That's right.
All right, I don't like getting political here, but I just want to
No,
say...
I'm not being political. I'm just saying.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine.
If you are a small business in the United States and you are trying to appeal as possible, you really should do digital because you're not going to make sales abroad. People are unreal. Like they're going to be like, I can't afford this.
All right. All right. It's time for some hard numbers. I'm pulling up the Screecher 3 Kickstarter. I want to do a breakdown of, let's see here. Let's open up the dashboard. Streaming. I'm sorry. I was like, reward popularity. All right. Okay. This will do it. There's no personal information that's being shown, so it's fine.
Good.
But here's the back end for Screecher 3. Okay. Here's the reward to your popularity. I got the $5 digital. 19% of backers did the $5, and then I had 6 of these, 11% of backers. So literally 30% of my backers were digital. $65 pledge, $55 pledge. You know, that is a not insignificant. Physical was the main thing. But yeah. And then here's the other thing. And I've said this before. This is where having your own platform really helps. Look at my referral sources, okay? X was my top one. 40% of my funds came from X. Okay.
Yeah.
Like literally 40%. If I did not have X as a platform,
Youch.
think about that. The 14% direct traffic, like YouTube, that's literally right now. This literally shows why having your own platform is so important.
Wow.
Yeah, like this is kind of sobering for a lot of people. Like I put a lot of effort into cultivating my Twitter.
What is this?
Oh, this is the back end of Screecher number 3. This is the Kickstarter. I'm showing hard numbers right now. So Vaughn, you know how I did that Kickstarter and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, my $5 digital comic, 11 backers. It's 19% of my backers. Like 30% of my backers were digital.
30% of your backers are digital. Wow. So you
Yeah.
what do you do? Just send them a PDF?
Yeah, essentially, I'll be sending them a PDF.
Maybe I should just do that then, because maybe I was always afraid people would share it around and like pirate it.
See, what really helps is the $5 digital tier is good for two things. It's one for the people who want to support you and don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
also there's a lot of international people who
Yeah.
want to support your
Not
comic
good.
but don't want to pay the shipping, and I don't blame them. So they buy the digital so they can support you internationally. And also,
For those
I
that
just
missed
wanna
my
say,
sermon.
Healy, thank you. I salute you.
All right, I'll send people digital. I'm just afraid that it's gonna like end up leaked online somewhere, but I guess that's
It's-
inevitable, isn't it?
It is because they will scan with flat. They will scan.
What?
Yeah, and people have already done it, dude.
No, I'm saying what because you just roboted again.
Did I?
Wait, or is it just me?
Oh my
Am
God,
I-
Greg Berlanti doing Screecher.
Am I roboting?
Did he
A
You
little
robot?
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I was listening to your wisdom, but then it was like, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably because Xfinity is a piece
So
of
what were
crap.
you saying? So I was saying that I feel like it's gonna get leaked anyway, and then you were
Yeah.
saying something.
And I was saying that people have flatbed scanners and have been, and I have heard of instances in a certain groups of indie creators and whatever. There are people who do that. They will scan in your book and then leak it to some site or whatever and pirate it out there.
So
And I'm
might
not
as
saying
well
I.
make-
Yeah, dude, it's gonna get out there inevitably. You might as well try
Yeah.
to capture as much of the market as you can.
I'm gonna tell-
Can I be honest? If
No.
I saw Screecher on a pirate site, I'd be very happy. Like I'd actually feel happy because it's popular enough that people want to pirate it. So
I just want to add, there's a reason why Band of the Crow is $3.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's about getting your book out there first.
Yeah.
That
Right.
dude's selling at a huge loss. That book is easily worth more than $3.
yeah,
Yeah. you're cooking, and then it's like, and I'm like, no. What are you saying?
somebody
Oh,
doesn't want to
damn it.
hear. Somebody doesn't want the world.
Someone's
to hear what Chris has to
censoring
say.
him, dude.
No,
Chris- Someone's hacking into Chris's stuff and just trying to take him out.
no.
Inside.
It's either my computer is dying, which is
no
a strong
good
possibility.
advice for young creators. You must destroy them.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
No, the
Oh, you know what it
future-
probably is? Let me close a bunch of stuff. I bet it's my system shitting itself because I have Photoshop open.
Oh no.
God.
Yeah.
All right. So while Chris is at Vaughn, I want to show you another statistic. These are the backer sources. Vaughn, check this out. These are the backer sources for the Kickstarter.
Oh man. Let me see.
Vaughn.
Formerly Twitter.
40% came from Twitter.
Yeah, dude. I tell people, I'm like Twitter. I always explain to people, I'm like, well, Vaughn, why are you still on Twitter if all these people, if they're like you? Well, because first of all, most of the interactions I have are great, but second, dude, the exposure you get on there is just amazing. Like,
It is.
especially I get verified or whatever, and I don't know how much of a difference it made, but I know it made something.
Oh, it does get you a boost.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
I was actually getting paid by Twitter like every 2 weeks, but ever since Elon did that change, it's kind of dried up. But
How do you
still.
get paid by Twitter?
You have to have 5 million impressions in 3 months.
Okay.
I had a post go viral that like super viral that got like 20 million impressions. That's how I got it. So, but yeah, so all right, there's your behind the scenes view of Screecher number 3 for you.
Nice.
No, and actually, what's interesting to me is we forget that even if you had, okay, so a lot of us do digital. If you're on Amazon, you're going to have digital and you're going to have physical. And of course, we're used to that. And I will say that, yes, they will scan it. I've already encountered Watcher of the Damned in the wild, actually, as a pirated copy, which was kind of cool in a weird way, but that's fine. I was like, okay, at least somebody thought it was worth something enough to try to steal it. Good job. But I was surprised at how many people actually still want digital, even with Kindle being so ubiquitous, even with it being free or 99 cents, which I always try to start off my first book in the series is always a hook. So I know that if I get somebody in on the first book in the series, they're probably going to read the rest of the series. And most of the time it does translate. But so I'll offer it for 99 cents. It's like the first hit of meth, you get this for free, And so they go after the series if I do it. They still want physical. The vast majority of my sales, even with the Kindle readily available, are physical copies. People have returned to physical. The reason why is they're extremely concerned about Amazon or another platform changing the content or banning it outright. And I'm seeing a surge in physical sales. Yeah, and I have pretty steady sales, and so I was surprised to see it change over to far more physical than I was doing digital. And so I think there's something there with it because people are becoming concerned about the possibility of losing access.
That's a good point.
Also, so this is my my Global Comics page, and I just realized, Screechers over 1K views. Thanks. Yeah. Issue 1 is 1.1K.
But you can buy a PDF off of Global Comics?
Yeah.
How do you set that up?
Only.
They told me at one point. Frick.
You can set up the download option on it.
I think it's managed series. Yes, it was successful. All right. Let's see. I think. Oh no, that's just setting up the pages. I know there's a way to do it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look it up. But yeah, because Global Comics actually has like a Marvel Unlimited subscription where like you pay money. Yeah, like I'm a huge evangelist of this site. I really like it.
Yeah,
hallelujah.
I got onto Comixology right before the merger.
Me too.
Issue 1 of Turn Samurai it was like one of the last releases. What was cool is it was actually first in line. I sold 20 copies that first go around, and I just wish I'd gotten there sooner because I probably could have sold even more. Like I probably could have made a killing.
Dude, that Comixology thing pissed me off. I had all of The Walking Dead in digital. I was reading on my phone, and then one day it's like, yeah, this doesn't work anymore. All of your sales are null and void.
See, that's what pisses me off is Comixology was that one site to buy digital comics.
Yep.
And Amazon killed it. And I think out of all the sites, because there's like Drive-Thru Comics.
It's like Comixology all the time.
Yeah, there's a couple other sites. Like I don't know if everyone's ever heard of Drive-Thru Comics.
Yes.
Never.
I think I have some of my stuff.
Well, it's Drive-Thru RPG like it too.
Oh,
it's probably the same people.
Comics. I've never heard of it.
It's off the Drive-Thru RPG, isn't it? The same. It's the same model, isn't it?
Yeah.
Drive-Thru Comics. I've never heard of this. Oh, look at that! One of these guys who's on the front page is one of my guests.
Nice.
Oh, all right. I'll have to ask him about his experiences with it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see.
Yeah,
I know I had some of my stuff on there at some point. All right, yeah.
What the hell? 2 people I just had on my show this week are on the front page. This is so weird. Queen Sonia was written by Arvid Nelson, who was just on my show. That is number 7 on their best selling.
Yep.
What the hell? And then Fist the Drunken Monkey, who's by by Rich Stanky, who's just on my show. Like, this is so what?
Yeah, so I do have so I don't know. I used them originally, but I stopped because their site is so outdated. I mean, you can just look at this. This is
Web 2.0.
It's ass, and their back end is even worse. Oh my god. Let me.
Wait, is this a GeoCities?
All right.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anybody from Drive Through Comics, please don't give me shit. I'm just kidding.
All right. Let me just kind of log into the back end and show you this. All right. Account. Okay. Like this is. By the way, just so everyone knows, the year is 2024.
Okay.
This is the back end, and
it's all Web 2.0 stuff.
Like, oh my god, this is like 2005 website.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like I was setting this up, and I don't think I ever actually finished it.
So how do you?
All right, I think I set it up, and I never made it public. So god damn it. Or maybe like I requested it, but they never did it. I don't freaking know.
You could set up Global Comics with your crowdfunding.
Yeah,
How do you
they're
do
really
that?
good. I think you go to like their crowdfunding source. By the way, they have video tutorials. Global Comics has video tutorials for all this stuff.
Nice.
But like, look at these. Look at all this crap. Is Snow still here?
No, I don't see her.
Oh,
When they download the PDF, can they download the ability to read it like the way I have it, panel by panel, or no?
I think that's a function of the file that you send to the
Yeah, I think that's
Amazon
like
does the same thing. Yeah, it's a special like whatever their proprietary crap is. But if you send them the PDF, then they get a PDF. They don't get all of that extra stuff that allows you to do panel by panel.
So apparently, Drive Through Comics does card and book printing. Like okay, I think. All right. All right, she's back.
Hey, welcome back.
I don't like. I really probably shouldn't be talking shit about this site, but like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Well,
like
2004
called. They want their website design back.
Well, I mean, in their defense, if this is like, because I work in web development, like, if this is like an older version of like PHP or something, it is a hell of like you have to incrementally update each freaking. Basically, it could be a matter of finances. They could be like, we're just not drawing in enough capital to justify building a whole new site.
Well, plus, your question is, you have how many of your customers are return customers? How many in sales are they doing? If they're having great sales and their customers are using this website constantly, and honestly, there are times when you upgrade your website and hey, ain't this great? You will lose customers because they just don't like the interface. So they maybe
YouTube
to stick with. Yeah, absolutely. So I've seen this happen. Like I said, go ahead and call it. How many people that you have that are over the age of 30 that are using the website? Once they get used to something, it's kind of like having a controller and you're used to Bethesda on your controls instead of having, Epic or something like that. That's when you see them actually pull back because they don't know where their stuff is. I hate to say that. You're a boomer if you're over 30. You really do get set. You really do get set in your ways, and you go up to the website. Suddenly, it's different, and oh, that's wonderful. It looks great, but you just probably knocked off 20% of your sales that day because people simply didn't know where they put their last thing. And so I think that a lot of people have pulled back off of website upgrades because they're expecting people to go ahead and go to Amazon or go wherever you're going to go. But the truth is, it's habit, and you don't want to lose those sales just because somebody can't find their last, bookmark.
Well, that
Well,
UX
I
design is
stopped
expensive.
using drive-through because their site is so convoluted. Whatever.
Yeah, dude, that's what I do for a day job.
I was on a bunch of other old other sites like a site called Spinwiz or whatever, and I was seeing nothing. Like at least with Global Comics, I can see people are reading the comics. Like I can see 1,000 people read Screecher, so I'm getting that feedback loop. And Amazon is just because it's the biggest site, and I'd be stupid not to have it on there.
Yeah.
But honestly, Global Comics, like seriously, they're the best.
If you're in indie comics, I would definitely strongly urge you to get over there.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think of any other. I can't think of any other. Like you said, Amazon has wide reach, but like it's not a dedicated comics platform.
Global
whereas
Comics,
Global
is
Comics
interesting.
is.
Yeah, Global Comics. If anyone is the successor to Comixology, it is them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Like I have literally had the owner of the site on my podcast multiple times. He is a great dude, really nice, freaking smart as a doorknob. Oh my god. Okay, that's not really a good compliment, but you know what I mean.
Where does it turn up?
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's the opposite of.
Yeah, I realize. Oh crap! I'm sorry, Chris. You're actually you're smarter than Sheldon. I'll give you there. How about that?
Well, just to go back to what we were extolling the virtues of PDFs and digital editions. Like Nick was showing his sales chart, and he got like a huge chunk of his purchases were from those PDFs. But here's in my opinion, this is the main thing that I had said previously, but like international business is stacked against you if you're an American. So if you can get digital anything out there, you can bypass all of the bizarre import fees and taxes and everything, and shipping. I mean, shipping is ridiculous, but it's actually not your biggest obstacle. Your biggest obstacle is all of the crap that these countries have put in front of Americans trying to do business in their country.
Yeah. Like, I look forward to the day when, like printing and other, like, if there was like let's say there's a print on demand service in Europe where, us Americans could upload our comic to the site, like, where it's printed in Europe, and then people in Europe could buy it. And it's printed on demand and shipped to them. I would love for a service like that. I would be the first one to sign up because I actually do have European fans, and I'm sure like them being able, like it would be a lot cheaper. Let's say it's printed in Germany and they live in the Netherlands. It's probably a lot cheaper to do that.
Dude, most of my customers or backers from Infinite Tale Chronicles #1 were European, and I think it's because the book resembles like Bandas Desané stuff. And Westerners tend to go for capes and guns and stuff, whereas the fantasy kind of stuff seems to be lingering over in Europe a little more, or at least a little more popular there.
Yeah, speaking of which, that's another thing I want to touch upon is there's kind of like this deriding for like cape stuff. Like people like, we want more original stuff and whatnot. Like, so I did Torn Samurai. A samurai in futuristic Detroit or whatever. And it got some success. But when I did Screecher, that's the book that everyone latched on upon. Now, I'm grateful for it. But, like, it's like, yeah, this is original thing, and it got limited success. Then Screecher comes out, and people love it. And so, thus, that's what I'm focusing on is Screecher. I'm focusing on the thing that people really enjoy. You go where the money is. Yeah,
you find a market or find an audience and capitalize on it. Yeah, if you're doing gangbusters in America with Screecher and it's not doing well in Asia or Europe, more power to you. Focus on your American audience. And vice versa. If you're doing great in Europe, guess what? Make a multi-language book.
I do think this comment is pretty important. Arsno, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead and talk about the comment.
Okay, so Coral says, digital is very nice, and the older your customer, the more likely digital will lead to a print buy.
Yes, I've had
Yeah.
duplicate buyers. In fact, I've seen some
You got it.
campaigns
All right.
that offer both, where they're like, if you buy the physical, you'll also get the digital tacked on.
That's what I do.
And it's also, I've realized personally, like in terms of pirating, generally, if I were to read something pirated, it's generally because Marvel Unlimited, like usually the comics I've read pirated are only because like either one, Disney is going censoring old comics. So I'm like, why would I support that? Two, like, cause literally I do not want to pay to read a censored version of a comic.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
I'm not paying. So like as soon as I'm done with Claremont's X-Men run, like if that ever becomes available in Global Comics, done Disney. Like canceling that. Like I'm already side-eyeing them because I've seen them. They've literally gone back, and thank God I've read those issues years ago. They've literally gone back and censored old issues. Now, another thing is if it's not available on the service, like there's a lot of those Marvel Comics Presents stories that are just straight up not available. And so I literally have to pirate them because what am I going to go to 20 different stores? Oh, do you have Marvel? Because Marvel Comics Presents, I don't know if you guys ever, I know.
I think I've read like one or two things.
All right. So it would be like, if you were to hunt them down physically, you would have to find like 8 in a row that are probably worth way more now. Like let's say for example, let me pull up Wolverine. Like let's say if this was available on the website, but I'm just using it as an example. Wolverine, before he got his own ongoing series, did Marvel Comics Presents 1 through 10. I would have to physically hunt them down, make sure all 10 of them are available at the same store, and buy all of them. And they're probably, depending on the issue, they might be worth like up to $10 now. So that's like possibly $100 that I could be spending. To read what I could have read if they had just put it on the digital store that for the subscription I'm paying for. And here's the thing. If I read it and like it enough, I might track down the physical anyway. So when you explain it like that, you're really set. Like I'm fully sold now on the digital thing, and now I'm like, sorry, I'm distracted for the stream, but now, so you don't know how you did the download thing?
Yeah, sorry, I don't. But like, how many times? Like, have there been people like, okay, I really like this movie, but it's a pain in the ass to find on streaming. So I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. I'm going to buy the 4K Steelbook because we all know 4K Blu-ray is literally the best way to view movies. Like streaming because of the data. Like it's 100 gigabytes of data versus like maybe a 4K is like 30 gigabytes on streaming. You know. So like your favorite movies, like you say you watch enough on streaming and you want to be able to watch whatever, you buy the 4K Blu-ray or just the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I've done that. If I like, so my thing is, and I know this is a terrible philosophy to do, but I'm an asshole. I will sail the high seas to see a movie, and if I like the movie, I'll buy the Blu-ray. I'm not going to the theater to watch
it's
that.
It's the same way with indie comics, especially if you're releasing your books like floppy by floppy. You know, they'll like you could have someone do 4 issues, all 4 issues in the digital format, and then when you come to do the prestige format definitive edition, they'll buy the trade because I really like Screecher. I want a premium format that's a permanent that I can put on my shelf and I can read every so often.
Dude, well, are you familiar at all with ElfQuest? Have you ever read that stuff?
I'm aware of it.
So Wendy and Richard Pini, Warp or whatever they're called now, those two have you know they've had ElfQuest since like the 70s. Okay, I have 4 different versions of the original Quest, which was their first series. It's drawn differently. There's wording differences, and they're going to re-release it soon on, I think it's Image. I could be wrong, but Image is re-releasing them in color.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to get that as well. So you've got a repeat customer.
Didn't they only finish the original Quest like onto the late 2000s?
Yeah. The final Quest was almost 20 years ago. But like the point I'm making though is you get a repeat customer. Like if it's a good enough product, they will buy every version of it. You know, if you can get those hardcore fans. And the thing is I'm not even a hardcore fan of ElfQuest. I just like fantasy stuff, you know. And I ended up, after buying it, because I bought the original floppies, And like you guys had mentioned earlier, comics were a disposable medium. So I bought it, lined a bird cage with it. I don't know, it disappeared. To read it again. Hey, this looks a little different. Then bought it a third time, and I'm like, wow, this looks a little like this is drawn better. Like this looks digital. This looks cool.
Yeah.
So now I'm going for the color.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Well, I think you're right about this. So we talk about how digital, yes, it can be pirated, people, but the truth is, we look for those samples a lot of times, and you can get a sample from Amazon or whatever. That's great, but I have seen books turn into sales when you have a series, and that's actually where the series kicks in so well. So they see one of your books out there, they read it, they just run across it for no reason. And right now I'm sitting there looking at two different copies of different sites that have my books pirated on them. The first thing I think of is, oh, somebody wanted to put it out there. How many of them actually found it by reading this? And I've had books that I read there's actually one, I won't say which one it was because I loved it so much. I was like, wow, I want to find the next one. And the only place I could find it was on Scribd, and I went ahead and got it. And now I've got the series because I wanted that book enough. I wanted to finish it. I do go back and buy the physical or the real site. People will do the same thing with our stuff. If it does happen to get grabbed up by somebody and they put it out there, when they love it, they come back to the original artist or the original author. They're going to buy it.
Like,
And
look
they
at
will,
video games.
exactly like you said. They'll do it because they don't want to go to the platform and find out it's gone. How many of us
Or
lost our stuff?
censored or
Yeah. How much of our games have been censored by a PlayStation? At this point, I had my PS3 and it died a horrible death, and I'm tragically horrified because I've got my digital copies. I mean, I've got my copies.
All right, everyone, I want you to in the chat press F to pay respects to Mrs. Snow's PS3. Press F to pay respects. F in the chat, please.
Yes, my favorite thing of all time, Fallout 3. God bless you, all the DLCs that I love. It's just brutal. I don't want to go that. All of us are going through this right now. What you talked about with what was the comics platform that just disappeared, and everything's
Comixology.
Yeah, they're seeing this. They're seeing this. They're going to go to the digital. They're going to read it first. They are coming back to buy your physical. I can't stress enough.
Yep.
Make sure you have physical copies available. They will get that digital first. They get that taste. They come back and they buy the digital.
Yeah, and it's like, look at the video game scene with emulation. I argue 95% of the people who claim to be fans of Earthbound pirated it.
Yep.
Really?
They didn't play that on the Famicom.
Well, that's true. I probably
because Earthbound is a game that like sold like crap upon release, and the cartridge has always been really valuable. Like it's always been a couple $100. It's not for something you can just stroll in and get. So most people have played it on emulator, and there are a lot of games got popular because of it. Like Chrono Trigger was a popular game, but I think emulation really helped to give it staying power.
Yeah. God knows, like I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. I literally did a 2-hour video essay on it. You think I played the original PS1 game? I mean, I played it on Steam. And, by the way, apparently there was like cutscenes that I downloaded. And do you guys know my story with that video? By the way, sorry, is this a tangent? I don't have to go into it.
No, tangents are allowed.
No,
do it now. All right, so I got involved in like a shipping war unintentionally.
Oh my god!
So Tifa and Aerith fans.
Oh my god!
Literally want to like. I'm convinced that if you gave some of these people weapons, they would actually commit acts of violence.
Dude, I have friends on Twitter who are like that, and like. I like Aerith and Cloud, but I'm not really into like the shipping war.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't like I almost cried when Aerith died, but I think Cloud should end up with Tifa. But you know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna strangle someone who's like like he posed. We bust each other's balls about like you're like Aerith's better girl. I'm like Tifa's better girl. I never once thought of
Aerith is best girl. Aerith is best girl.
That's fine. Well, my argument in my video essay wasn't even that. My argument was. I said I'm biased towards Tifa, but outside of that, I just think objectively the way the story plays out, I argue it's a love story between Cloud and Tifa, and that Aerith is meant to kind of bring Cloud out of his shell, and then when she dies, because they were both close to her, that it was kind of meant to be that, and that she returns to Zack. That was my argument. Now, whether you agree with that or not, But like I that was my thing, and I basically I'll admit I did kind of poke the bear. I posted on
That's what
Twitter.
you gotta do.
I posted on Twitter. It's not a matter of shipping to say that Cloud and Tifa end up together. It's a matter of understanding the game's themes and storytelling. And the whole shipping community was like, "You piece of like
Dude.
And they were like, and then I did a stream where I was like, they hate me, and then
oh my god! Now I really want to stream Final Fantasy 7 so I can piss off the fans so they come into my stream and debate me and give me all the engagement.
They got so much engagement, but the thing is, I checked, they don't stick around. Their whole lives are about shipping. I give them a platform, and some of the shippers have asked to come back on for a debate. I've been busy with my comic,
dude.
If you
shippers
guys
are insane.
I want one
like
day,
shippers in general, legit insane.
I think I want to one day just have the shippers on and just kind of sit by and
excellent. Dance
Dude.
my puppies.
Dude, shippers in general are insane. Have you seen how Jared will not shut the fuck up about Super Wonder?
Jerry. Oh wait. Oh wrong.
All right. So here's my here's another thing too I want to say, and this is fucking amazing, man. Is like, oh my god, there's some fighting going on, and I remember one of my, because like these people stumbled onto my feed, which is mostly comic book fans or whatever, and but some of them like Final Fantasy 7, and so this poor innocent soul who was a backer of mine just said, "How can he end up with Aerith? She's dead." These people stragged. They were like, "How can you say that stupid argument? I've heard it a million times. Linking into all these threads. You're a piece of shit. I'm blocking you." And he like messaged me, or he messaged me, goes like, "These people are unhinged."
Yep.
Okay.
No,
now
that's a target.
Now I just want to do a stream of like Aerith versus Tifa. Like, I just want to do that stream now and have you on again.
I want because I have an in kind of with the shipping community, and here's the thing about it. I could just message like two people. They just they flock to you. If you give them you send a flare, like I had like hundreds of people watching the stream, and I look at the engagement. The next day I'll do like a regular stream. They're not there. You just call them for a debate. This game came out, by the way, before I was born.
98.
Yeah.
And they're still
so old.
And then the argument they were making on my stream is, yeah, we're gonna see who ends up at the end of the Rebirth trilogy. I'm like, I don't think so. I think no matter who they end up with, they'll be like half the side will call shenanigans and half will say whatever, or they might pussy out and be like, well, the player choice. Really, no, it's not player choice.
All right,
just pick one.
All right, I'm going to say this in December. Sometime in December, I am doing an Aerith versus Tifa stream. Vaughn, you are invited on.
I will be there.
Oh my god. We have to do this. And
all right, so hang on. You know what I'm going to do? Because I actually have some friends in the shipping community. I'm going to have them send up the flare, and you will get so much engagement. Dude.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's going to look like that scene in freaking
unfortunately,
Starship Troopers.
Can I? You know what? No. I'll just hopefully some of them will subscribe to my channel. I don't think they will. I'll let you take it doesn't matter because I could do a stream later and they'll come back again because these people I will be 10 years from now, we'll be like, remember that time? And they'll be like, they'll still be in the trenches in another 10 years.
All right, we'll work out the details after we
got the shaking hand.
I am excited. I'm telling you, I could get you views on that because I was a nobody in the Final Fantasy VII community. I just posted the clip. And they were like, they accused me of doctoring footage from the game to make my argument. And I was like, what? And so apparently, because here's what I did. I wrote, and they were like, you didn't do your research. Now, I want to let you guys know that I wrote 49 pages. I combed through cutscenes of the game, and I was accused of not doing research. Because I didn't read the Ultimate Guide books or something.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, my source of information on the game was the game.
Yeah,
my source is that I made it the fuck up.
No, it's not.
No, it's literally the game. Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, did you read the guidebook from 2006?" I don't care about the guidebook from 2006.
No. And did you read the third edition guidebook from?
Did you see this interview with
fifth printing?
Did you see the interview with this developer from 3 years after the game came out? No, I didn't. Did you see the
It was-
behind the
it was
scenes
brought-
notes
It
that
was
came?
live streamed on a website that hasn't
Well, this
been
is-
relevant
I
in
will
20
admire
years.
the dedication because they'll be like combing through interviews, they'll be coming through like developer notes, they'll be coming through this and be like, yeah, we'll see in this stage of development. It was, first of all, just because it's in a stage of development, like a character was this something like there was a stage in development where Aerith and Sephiroth until like I think kind of later, Aerith and Sephiroth were brother and sister, right? Why do you think they have the same hair? They have the same, look at their original designs, the same loops right here.
Oh.
Same similar facial features. They both have long faces and like, if you really like, hang on, let me put up.
I mean, if you want to be technical about it, technically they are related because Aerith is a Cetra.
And
and,
Sephiroth, no, they're not, because Sephiroth is not a Cetra. That's the whole point.
He was created from the cells of a Cetra.
No, he's created from the cells of Genova, who was not a Cetra.
Oh my
Okay
God.
then.
It's
That was
firing
the
up,
whole.
y'all.
No, it's just, hang on, ready? So look at their designs. Look at their hair. I'm sharing my screen.
Cheesy poops.
See that? Look at their
Yeah.
hairs.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Look at their facial structure. They were very until like when they were first designed. Yeah, ready? Like first design, they were very similar. They have similar eye color. They were meant to be brother and sister. Now, does that mean anything in a shipping argument? Absolutely not, because that was a scrapped idea. Like, but yeah, but it's cool, fun trivia. You know what's another fun trivia I've been sharing?
The
around?
hair is a pretty damning
Yeah,
piece
that
of
part.
evidence. So.
Well, the eyes too is the same
Yeah.
color and everything.
Yeah, but the thing that Clone of Lovecraftian Horror Genova. Another thing that I find interesting. Do you guys know? Sorry, I get tangent. Speaking of like early ideas that never went on, I was talking about this on stream recently. This is a fun fact I love. Do you know that Gambit and Mr. Sinister were supposed to be the same person?
For real.
Oh.
What?
Is that why the costumes are so? They have that weird.
No, here's why. Here's what the plan was. So the plan was, and if you read the comics, because I'm on that point in the comics, so it makes sense to me. You would have to dive back. If you remember, Chris Claremont was doing the Marvel Classic backup stories. There's like little, like what was it, 10-page stories. He was doing the Uncanny X-Men, and so Mr. Sinister shows up in this over-the-top outfit with the glow, with the eyes and everything, right? And the sharp teeth and all of that. He looks like an over-the-top villain. He's on a throne and everything. And then you have, meanwhile, in the Marvel Comics Presents, Mr. Sinister was like responsible for Scott at the orphanage, and there was also this little kid who used to bully Scott named Nathan. Keep that in mind. So Mr. Sinister, and then later on they introduced Gambit. Now, I haven't finished Claremont's run, but I know Gambit's towards the end, and he wasn't able to live out his plans with Gambit. Gambit's backstory was revealed and created by another writer.
Oh.
What was supposed to happen was supposed to be revealed that there was this guy, Nathan. I don't know his exact powers, but it was something like he could create identities and projections and stuff. So this kid was like, I think hundreds of years old or something like that, trapped in the body of a child. He could not physically mature, but he wanted to do villainous dealings. So what he would do is he would create this ultimate evil bad guy persona. That was Mr. Sinister, which is why he was so over the top. And then he also wanted his cool guy persona to infiltrate the heroes, which is why he's got Gambit, who's got this over the top. He's got these playing cards. He's a ladies' man because he looks like a child, so he can't flirt with Rogue. So he creates Gambit. And they was eventually revealed that these Mr. Sinister and Gambit were both personas created by this kid. That was the original plan.
That is wild.
I can look it up.
LeBeau.
Yeah, he was. Well, I don't know if his name was even originally Remy LeBeau. I think someone else created that.
Oh wow!
Because from what I've read the first couple appearances. He's just Gambit.
Yeah, he just shows up that way.
It's just like Rogue. Rogue. I've read over 100 issues of Rogue. She's just Rogue. Her real name has not been referenced once yet.
Wow.
Yeah, but Rogue is one of those other ones too that goes through such a transformation.
Yes,
of
she
her
does.
original intent. Yeah, she's a totally different character.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, when did they give her like the Southern Belle kind of thing?
I think she always kind of had the Southern Belle thing. It's more of her
Yeah.
persona. The fact
And her
that she was,
hairstyle.
yeah, she was intended to be a middle-aged woman who
Hmm.
had this power. And they sort of, it's not like they youngify her. She's still rogue. She's still who she is. But she also was more villainous. She was way more villainous in that
Oh
respect.
God, yeah.
A lot more
Captain
cranky.
Marvel.
Yeah, dude, for real. And so you have this, and I think as they were developing her, part of it was the sympathy card. You start to feel sorry for this character. This is trapped in this body that she can't touch anything, can't deal with anything, and she morphs into Rogue as we know her. By the time we come to the Uncanny X-Men, especially in the animated series, which is how a lot of us actually really got
Yeah.
into the world. She is a completely sympathetic character and does have some perhaps villainous tendencies, maybe what would normally be, you can suck the life out of somebody. It's kind of tough, but she is completely a hero at that point. And
I mean, you ask any guy, like, oh, she can suck the life out of me anytime.
yeah, but just to watch that transformation and who she's become was pretty fascinating, especially considering that I was watching it at the time as an adult, and to see that happen and see that go through, and to realize that was actually a successful transformation of that character. And I think we forget that a lot of these characters, when you go back and when we talk about it from a shipping perspective, a lot of people who have been looking at these from a ship relationship, this leads back to your original thing about mental health in the community.
Oh boy, yeah, we going a long way from there.
Welcome back.
That tends to happen. It's kind of it's the thing.
But I
Anyway,
think
sorry.
it's back because you're
No,
talking
it's
about
okay.
people that literally this is real for them, and it becomes so real that one little that justifies this entire existence of this relationship in their mind. It becomes their relationship with that character. And I think that we see that a lot in the communities. We forget that this really does happen. It probably happened with somebody with Screecher. It'll happen to somebody with Infinitales. With any of your characters, when it becomes that real to people, there will be a certain amount of perhaps
That's kind of a goal.
Yeah, you don't want your people to become vicious, but about it.
But I mean, like we
It's
talk
like
about
whenever
Final Fantasy and all that stuff, and it's like people give enough of a shit about almost like an over 27-year-old property. Like that right there, that's what I like. When we're dead and gone, I want to hear people bickering about our characters. That to me is my goal.
It's like when you ask the average wrestling fan, we say, wrestling's fake, right? It's real to me.
Yep.
But like that's the thing is like to even give a shit about something that is old, that is fictional, that does not have any real bearing on your life. That is a success in my book. That is a huge W as a writer.
Yeah. Like for example, we still know Bram Stoker's name. We still know Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know
or Homer,
Dracula.
The Odyssey. The Homer, the writer of the Odyssey. Like
That's
it is
immortality right there.
That is the ultimate goal of any creative person, is to create a work that transcends their own life.
Yeah.
Well,
the goal isn't to live forever. It's to create something that does. Absolutely.
Well, it's to plant the tree so that future generations can have some shade.
Yeah. So
we may not see it.
We're gonna wrap up here. We're gonna kind of go around and got anything you want to chill? Feel free to chill it. So, all right, Snow. What do you got going on, and where can people find you?
All right. Well, you can find me at watchofthedam.com, where you can find my Prometheus Award nominated 4 times for Novel of the Year, Watcher of the Dam sci-fi Western saga. And also it is a romance, so you can ship some people if you like. And you can find me at watchofthedam.com, or you can find me at flow.page/rhsnow. That's flow.page/rhsnow from all of my YouTube and Twitter accounts and my books, which of course are available on Amazon. And I'm working currently on book number 8 in the series. We're rolling towards the end of the series as we are going to finish it out with the final arc. And that's Caballeros del Camino, which will be coming out this month. And so I look forward to sharing it with everybody and getting that book on the shelf. And then we will head towards the final goal of getting the entire series ready to roll out as a unique entity all its own in the 2nd edition.
Sounds good. Vaughn, What do you
Yes.
got going on, and where can people find you?
Well, I'm so glad you guys asked because my comic book, I have to finish up the shipping costs and stuff and a couple things. My comic book is shipping out to backers. In fact, it is shipped out to backers.
Look at
Uh,
that.
And not
Look at
only
that beautiful
that,
thing. All
Not
right, I'm
only
full
that-
screening you.
oh man, it feels so good.
Oh,
Not only that, but it will be
Put
available.
that comic up to the camera. Let everyone see it.
It will be available on my website.
Oh, look at the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So
Be-
pretty.
Website. So if you have not bought this yet, if you made that
What the fuck is wrong with you?
that horrible, did you buy it?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What?
You walked into that one.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to call me out like that. But
Well, because I was like, I don't know if you bought, dude. I don't look at every name. You could have, and I would have been like, "That's a good man." Would have been my
no,
line.
I'm too
Fair
honest.
I would have been like, "Be like him," but no, so it's okay. There's so many, but anyway, like I swear that wasn't meant as a thing. People that
No,
whatever.
it's fine. It's fine.
You know, you make sure that you get these books because they they are going to be great, and we are going to have to probably do a reprint if it momentum really picks up. But
Nice.
these are going to be shipping out right away. All that it's waiting on is me to figure out shipping costs on my website. I'm gonna and then it'll be, if you want to get it, you can get it, and it'll ship right to you. So my website is going to be called Rebel Oasis Studios. The best way to find me, I'm on all socials. Just look up my name. I decided to make it easier. Vaughn Coleman. Look me up on YouTube. Look me up on Twitter. Look me up on Instagram. You know, find me wherever you can, and keep an eye out because I will be dropping my website. I'll be posting about it everywhere I can.
Yay.
All right. Chris, what do you got going on, and where can people find you?
Oh yeah. Okay, I got a link there in the private.
All right.
Tonight's
I
the
guess,
last night for the pre-launch mailing list free giveaway sign up stuff.
Ooh.
After that, I'll be sending out the winning emails and then waiting to get valid postal addresses to ship the free stuff to. But in the meantime, yeah, if you sign up for the Infinito Chronicles #2 mailing list, you also will get, when the campaign launches, which will be in February, you'll get access to, basically I'll send out an email with exclusive perk links. So you'll get cool stuff that people not on the mailing list will not have access to. And yeah,
Nice.
it's great that we have 2 of the 3 books already printed. I mean, we've had them printed
Yes.
and ready for sale back in September. We're just waiting on that final book. I talked with my colorist, and he's basically trying his best to get it out for late January, early February. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Let's
All
go,
right.
Cap.
So just Screecher is at the printers, so we're waiting to hear back from that. That should take like 2 weeks to a month. So once I get those back, I'll let you know. I'm almost done with Chapter 2 rewrite for Lost Kingdom. That's your quick update. So join us next week as we do our Friday night feature. We're talking about Spider-Man, and as we go into December, we'll do that Final Fantasy stream. I don't know which week yet. I need to talk with Vaughn, coordinate. But
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm sure that they'll come out in droves, by the way, to buy my comic book.
Yeah.
I have a Final Fantasy VII homage cover, but it was limited to my campaign. I'll have to make prints of it for something in the future, but I'll make
Okay. I got to full screen this.
first. Oh, you didn't? Yeah.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
So
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
limited. I will sell these at whatever is left over because obviously I have to
Mhm.
make sure all my backers get it.
Mhm.
Whatever is
Yeah.
left over will be available to sell at conventions.
Sweet.
Nice. Yep. So tomorrow I'll be playing some more Dragon Quest. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Vaughn. Thank you, Watcher of the Damned. You both are awesome, and I look forward to having you on my stream again. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.